I've brought you here today to Corpus Christi and this beautiful natural gardens. Now the reason I'm here today is to talk about Charles I. Now Charles I, you may remember me speaking when I was doing a video on St Mary the Virgin Church, was the King of England from I think about 1625 to about 1649, and then was obviously succeeded by Oliver Cromwell and his parliamentary soldiers. You may again remember the story of the parliamentary soldiers that were marching up High Street and shot off the face of the Virgin Mary and the baby Jesus on the front of St Mary the Virgin Church. So when Cromwell was here, when Charles I was here, he was residing at Christchurch College. So I'm at Corpus Christi at the moment, and Christchurch is just on the other side of these buildings. Just behind me there it will be the city wall, and on the other side of that will be Dead Man's Walk and Christchurch Meadows. Now, the reason I wanted to bring you here today is because there's this fascinating little feature here that not many people will see. One, because it's tucked away in the corner, and also not everybody knows the history about it. So what I'm going to do is, just after I walk through here, I'll flip the camera around and I'll show you this beautiful little door that we found that's got some fascinating little bit of history about Charles I and his lover of the time, who was at Merton College. As I say, I'll flip the camera around now and we'll have a little look at the door. Okay, I haven't flipped the camera around yet. I just thought I'd do a little bit of a talk just as I walked up to the door. So just behind me is the new auditorium for Christchurch College, and just over the other side of that wall is Christchurch Cathedral. So at the back of Christchurch Cathedral you have Christchurch Gardens, and in the corner of the Cathedral Gardens is this beautiful little door. Just in there you can see a bit of new wood and a bit of the old wood where it's been repaired. Now this door was installed I think in around 1643-ish, so very similar times to when Cromwell was coming down into Oxford looking for Charles I. Now I'm just putting my notepad and stuff down. You can see this door is not very tall again. I'll stand up against it, so I'm about 5'10", so I'd say it's probably about, I don't know, I suppose it's about 6'6". Maybe this is the door they took the standard from. Now, the reason this door is important is when the parliamentary soldiers were obviously marching down High Street and they were looking for Charles I, who was at Christchurch just on the other side of this wall. Charles I had a lover just in Merton College, which is one college over. So as you go through the gardens, on the other side of those walls is the college grounds for Merton College. Now, to stop Charles from having to go out onto the main street where all of the public were, and maybe some people that didn't like him, so people that wanted Cromwell to be in charge, in order to inconspicuously move between the colleges, Charles had this gate put in. This very gate, not a different gate, this very gate. Now, this gate is supposedly about 450 years old, or the wood is 450 years old, and they believe that it's of German or Baltic origin. Now, it is said that the gate predates, or the wood of the gate predates, the time in which it was installed, and thus they believe that it was either an original gate that they had on site, or either at one of the colleges. I'm not certain whether it was Christchurch that had it installed or Corpus. It was probably Christchurch, so it's probably Christchurch's wood and Christchurch's door. As you can see, it actually hinges towards us and we're inside Corpus Christi. It was for Charles to come from Christchurch all the way through Corpus Christi and end up in Merton, just on the other side of those buildings over there. As I said, they're not certain as to whether it was an original door somewhere else and then they made the hole in order to fit the door, or whether this door was just constructed from wood that they had on site, maybe used for a ship. So sometimes they used Spanish galleon wood if they'd taken the wood off of a Spanish galleon. There is around, I think at Pembroke College, there's a medieval staircase that may be made of a galleon, and also the staircase that goes up to King James's Bible room, which is just over the lodge over at Corpus Christi. This all ties together realistically in the fact that Charles I was actually King James VI of Scotland's son. But when King James came to England, he was named King James I because he was the first King James of England, but the 6th of Scotland, if you can get your head around that. Obviously, many historians and people that like history will already know that. And it was King James that converted the Bible from Latin, I think 3 places. I think there was 2 gentlemen at York, 2 gentlemen at Oxford, and 1 in London. We haven't done a video yet in the Bible room, but if we do get in there, it's beautifully panelled and it's got some lovely features in there, so I could make a whole video of that on its own. So we will get around to doing that one day. But obviously King James had the Bible converted here at Corpus Christi. His son was now residing at Christchurch. Sorry, I've got too many C's. At Christchurch on the other side of this wall, and his lover over at Merton. I'll flip the camera around now, I promise you. We'll have a little quick look around the door. It is a bit featureless. It's just a door. We're not here for the features of the door. Normally we're looking at the construction of the door and how beautiful it is. But this more has relevance because it was specifically made for Charles I to literally use Corpus Christi as a thoroughfare through to go see his lover. Let me flip the camera around as promised and we can have a look together. As I said, the door is not the most aesthetically pleasing. It's got a beautiful, I think this is the old city wall. So this was actually the original wall from when it was a defence of Oxford, the city. Comes around, we've got some beautiful stonework. As you can see, it's not got the big chisel marks in that we see from some of the buildings of that date. And it must have been a hell of an undertaking to have knocked. I mean, whether they knocked the whole thing down and then just rebuilt it around the door frame, or whether they just cut this door frame in. See the size of the stones. Again, I'm not sure if these are original steps. The steps are beautifully constructed, very uniform. And as I said, this door, or the wood, is 400 years old. It's done really well. I mean, you can see, obviously, this bit here isn't 400 years old. They do have an obligation to keep it in a working order, I suppose. I believe that in June every year, except probably 2020, due to the pandemic, that the academics from Christchurch walk through this gate in remembrance of when Charles first met his lover when they were married. I do have a bit of information on this, so I'll have a quick look over it. And as we walk through Corpus, I'll give you a bit of history on Charles I and his lover. But as for the door, that's it there. As I said, the construction of the door is not what we're here for. It's the story that bestows this door. Okay, so that's enough about the door for now. Walk with me now. We'll have a little walk through Corpus Christi. I'm not sure of the exact route. We'll walk through the more, or the garden route as opposed through the cloisters. In fact, no, we'll walk through the cloisters and we'll end up in the garden because it's probably a better looking way of walking. I'm not sure exactly where he walked, but I did read that on the wall between Corpus Christi and Merton, Charles had another gate. I don't believe that's there now because the Dead Man's Walk, or the lane that goes between Merton and Corpus Christi that leads on to Dead Man's Walk, now cuts between the colleges. So there isn't a direct route. So if a king was to do this now, we'd be stumped by a modern day alleyway. But have a walk with me now and we'll walk through Corpus Christi. Okay, so if you come with me now, we're just going to have a walk through. That's the new auditorium there, and Russell upon the top. Hello, Russell. As I say, a lot of this wall may not have been there at the time, so it's hard for us to get the actual route that he walked. Now, Charles only spent about half of the time during 1643 and 1645 at Christchurch. I'm not sure of the exact dates. He actually resided in the deanery, and his parliament was held in the main hall at Christchurch, sorry. with the Privy Council meeting in the southwest cannery. So this is so beautiful. This is quintessentially the most English garden that you are ever going to see. So you see here. Now a little bit of history here, which isn't to do with Charles I, that when this building was constructed here, in order for them to have a good view of Christchurch Meadow, which is just on the other side of that mound, they actually deconstructed the city wall. So the city wall, which I'll just walk up now, as I say, it's a bit more of a pleasing way to walk, which Charles may have done, but I doubt he would have probably have just gone straight across the face of that. I don't think that building was there then, so it's all changed, but we can theoretically walk the same distance as him, or the same route as him, sorry. He also allowed a lot of the weddings and funerals of the members of his court would have took place. Sorry for the students up there, but just up there is Christchurch Cathedral, just on the other side. Don't think you can see because the sun's in the eyes. But we're now on top of the old city wall. Beautiful thin construction at the top. It's a lot thicker at the bottom. That's Christchurch Gardens just there, and Christchurch Meadows out there. As you walked around the edge of this wall, you walk along Dead Man's Walk, which is where the Jewish community would walk their dead relatives or anyone that had died down to the Jewish cemetery, which is now where the Botanical Gardens is, or was where the Botanical Gardens are. So, as I said, I mean, look at the size of this tree. That is, I don't think that gives it justice. This tree is about 2 meters across and is absolutely humongous. Now, whether that was here 400 years ago or 420 years ago, I am not sure. But you can now see here, as you follow me down, walking on our route, which is now walking down. So this is the end of the city wall. Now, I think that's obviously like a buttress that sits out, but that is how thick the city wall is, which is about 1 meter thick at the base, and then we go up to the pinnacle at the top, and then the beautiful Christchurch Meadows out the back there. So continue to walk down, and then you can see just here, as we get to the end, we come to this little tiny wall. Now this little tiny wall, in fact those buildings you can see just through the trees, is Merton College. So obviously it would have had to have been somewhere around here that would have been the second gate in order for Charles to go see his lover Henrietta Maria, who was I can't remember exactly where she was from. I can't remember if she was Spanish. I know that Charles was going to get married to a Spanish lady, but then that didn't go down too well with many people. So I'm actually just flicking through some notes. I'll take you back this way. We couldn't find anything else. Oh, sorry, Russell just getting in shot. We couldn't find anything else along the wall, so we literally do not know where Charles's second gate was in order to meet Henrietta. But it is a video that I wanted to do for a while. We were working at Corpus last year, and I was amazed at finding out about his little gate for him to go and meet Henrietta. I thought it was a lovely love story, even though it was mainly so that he didn't get lynched by Oliver Cromwell. So, you know, look at it as you may. He was either being really sneaky or very romantic. We don't know. I hope you've enjoyed this video today and you've learned a little bit. And if you didn't learn anything, I hope you just liked coming and looking at the beautiful gardens with me and Russell. Please like and subscribe on YouTube and Facebook, as always. Spread the word, because the more word gets spread, the more places let us in, because they watch the videos and then they see that we don't mess around and we actually do inform people of a little bit of history. Not always, sometimes it's just me and Russell messing around, but anyway, I hope you've had a good day, and I will speak to you again soon and see you on the next video.